rest of this goes.
Hello, 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 everyone. It is Elsa932 on YouTube. We're here to cover Married at First Sight Australia. I am here with JRX TV. How are you today, JR?
I'm well, thank you. And a little bit cold, but we're all good. We're here. Good evening, chat. Good afternoon, chat, wherever you're tuning in from. Hope everybody's well out there.
Yes, wherever you're chiming in from, we're both, how can I say it? This has been an exciting week. I could say we're both kind of put off by what's been going on. And I do have y'all's, a screenshot of post episode drama. Okay. Post episode drama. I believe I sent that to you. Somebody sending text messages out here in these streets. But just so we kind of know what's going on at the beginning of this episode, this is who we have. The people on my side here in the blue, they have left. Okay. They have left the experiment. And the folks on the bottom are still here. Okay. Folks on the bottom, as of this episode, are still here. This is what we're dealing with. Okay. But let's say hey to everybody. Hey, Sam. Good to see you. Hey, Munira. Okay. Hey, Huda Queen. And to go to Africa. And those of you in the bushes or catching it on the replay, please, give us a like, say hello, and make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We're covering this together. Later on, I'm covering Love is Blind Ohio's reunion, and I'm covering Sweden next week at the 5 p.m. hour because we will be done with Ohio. But let me make sure the comments are on the screen for folks to follow along. So let me take this away. So we always follow the commitment ceremony flow. And this time, the commitment ceremony starts with Gia and Scott. This week, Gia and Scott, everybody, it's the retreat. That's why this is called Retreat or Surrender. Everybody went to the retreat. They go away for a few days, if not a week. And Scott won the race to the complex, and he got them the biggest room with a tub in the room with a picturesque window. Now, one thing that happened this week with Scott is at the dinner party after the blow up, Scott and Danny had a sit down man to man, and Danny's like, hey, whatever going on with our wives, we are still cool. Can we still shake hands? And, but Scott's like, I ain't got nothing to say to your wife ever. So, but they're saying that Gia said the retreat was a lot, is not affecting their relationship, and the drama is taking a toll on her. Okay. What are your thoughts on Gia and Scott this week?
Well, that in itself is a contradiction because, how can she say that it's not affecting their relationship when it's affecting her? It's taking a toll on her. She's in the relationship. And from what we've seen, she still continues to meddle in other people's relationships by back talking with Beck and Juliet about other people, causing a lot of problems. And then somehow thinking she's exonerated from causing the mayhem. So I think Gia is very performative, very manipulative. The way she used Rachel to score points against Beck. It's the same thing. It's the same MO that she's been using the whole time. We've seen her use Beck to try and get back at Alyssa. We've seen her team up with Brooke to try and attack Beck. So what Gia does is she tries to make an ally with someone so that she can target whoever she dislikes at the time.
Right.
And then Scott seems to be playing along with it because he doesn't pull her up on it. And he chooses to stay quiet. Now, in an interesting unseen snippet of the behind the scenes of their relationship, I think I sent you the clip earlier in the week where they're alone in the room and she wants to continue to talk about everybody else. and Scott saying, "Nah, like I don't, let's just go to bed. Let's just call it a night." So then she decides to kick the camera crew out of the room. She's like, "Nah, well, I'm not going to say anything while they're here. So I think everybody should go. I'm going to bed now. Don't want to talk." And she really went off on Scott, and
She, the microphone was still on.
yeah, exactly. She still had the microphone clipped. But yeah, so it made it appear as if their relationship is not all that she pretends that it is. And it definitely seemed like it's not the first time that she's had that conversation with Scott either.
Right. He sounds tired. He sounds tired of, why aren't we talking about us? Why are we talking about everybody else? But just to bring everybody up, my members and I, we watched the dinner party together. And if you are part of the membership, you certainly will have access to that. Those of you who are listening, we watch the dinner parties together. Dinner is served on a Thursday evening. But here's the thing. Just to catch everybody up, this week they went on the retreat. Okay. Rachel and Steven went along further in their relationship. They had a good cuddle. He thinks they made it to third base. Rachel says he doesn't understand the bases. Okay. So we don't know exactly what happened, but whatever it happened, I'll just say, the fingers were involved, and we cannot say exactly what Beck said. Okay. It's a finger, and what does an explosion do? It's a bang. That's as close as I can say it for y'all. Okay. So Beck said that in a joke, and it did not land well. It hurt Rachel. Rachel walked off. Steven has spent the days, consoling Rachel. And then when everything was fine with Beck and Rachel, that they were prepared to just be civil with each other, Juliet and Gia goes to talk to Rachel and says, in my opinion, lies, and said that, Beck said that y'all were broken up. With y'all left and you were angry and y'all were broken up. But what Beck said is that, hey, it really damaged their relationship when Rachel found out that Steven and I spoke. It wasn't even 60 seconds because Steven told Beck, hey, whatever's going on with you and my wife, you got to go fix it. That's all Steven says. And apparently Rachel was upset that Steven talked to Beck behind her back. That's how she felt. So Gia and, Juliet heard, oh my God, they're broken up. And what did Beck do? And what happened? They seemed fine when we last saw them. But then Rachel woke up after Juliet attacked Beck with some vile language at the bonfire. And Rachel is like, wait a minute, I'm being used, as a pawn in this whole drama. Luckily, Rachel woke up and said, hey, y'all are not going to be saying vile things to Beck in my name. Beck and I have made up. We understand each other now. She understands where I come from. And, we're going to, form our own path. But Gia is not satisfied with that. She thinks Beck gets away with everything. And so she sends screenshots of the vile things Beck said earlier in the experiment about Alyssa. She sent it to Juliet. So before this commitment ceremony, she's talking with Scott about how I gave it to Juliet so she can use it if she needs to today on the couch. Put a pin in that, y'all, because that's going to come up later. Okay. But when Gia is saying that, hey, the experts are saying, Gia says she wants to stay out of the drama. She was yelled at by Danny and called a liar, which that was not true. Danny's like, there's some people that lie around here too. He never called Gia's name, but she popped up. Who are you calling a liar, Danny? This is an edited show, but that's what we saw. But Gia's hand is in everything. And she yells at Danny when Danny's like, hey, I didn't, hey. She yells, why don't you shut it? And expert John said, Gia, you are involved in the drama throughout this entire experiment. Can you move away from the drama? So that was the question. JR?
Yeah. So again, she clearly is involved in a lot of stuff, and she doesn't take accountability for it and feels like she's above the drama at times that she's causing. There was, her intention to get the screenshots from her and Beck's conversation and air it, that is malicious thing to do. She did it intentionally to try and hurt Beck and didn't mind that Rachel and Stephen were going to be collateral damage. So yeah, this week, the only change that Beck did was she switched from hating on Alyssa and David, which she still has some stuff to talk about with them, but her main focus was targeting Rachel and Stephen, and obviously Beck as well. So I can see why Scott's tired of it. I don't understand why he hasn't firmly said to her, listen, you need to stop. We're here for a relationship for us. Stop. I don't care what your situation with Beck is. Just listen, focus on what you're here to focus on. It's not about drama with Beck. It's about trying to build a relationship with Scott. So he needs to be firmer on that. Otherwise, he's just going to constantly seem like he has no sense. People it seems like the group kind of think he's a bit thick upstairs because he doesn't pull her up on these things. And Gia is very messy and continues to embroil herself, and then as a consequence, him, in external things that they're nothing to do with their actual relationship between the two of them. She's got a child. They should be focusing on how to integrate him into the family unit type thing, and he should be looking at how her child and her come into his life. That's what they should be thinking about if they're serious.
They say they're thinking about it. He said he knows he needs a bigger place, and they've talked about movers. She's gotten a quote from movers.
Yeah, but not to the extent where they're eliminating all the outside stuff, right? Because at the end of the day, once the cameras once the show's finished, they're now going to have to do life with each other. And all that time spent with Beck, talking with Juliet behind Beck's back, talking about Alyssa behind her back, going off on other people in the house and all in the experiment. It's all wasting time. It's all taking away.
It is wasting time. It is wasting precious time from
and energy.
From the relationship standpoint. And y'all, we're going to come back to them because they do.
At the end of the day, she's hurting people's feelings that she claims to be friends with,
hanging out at bars with, going to the nail spa with. I mean, y'all think these people are really attacking each other, but they still go into the nail spa together. Okay.
Yep. And fake hugging and fake friends and all that stuff when the cameras are off.
Right.
Yeah. Confusing.
So just to let y'all know, they have both decided to stay. Gia and Scott this week have decided to stay in the experiment. Now, I loved her dress and her outfit. But how she was behaving this episode, absolutely not, ma'am. Absolutely not. Now, without getting into the nitty-gritty of it, is there anything, because we're going to get back to them at the end. I have screenshots of that. You'll be proud of me. Is there anything else from this segment about them that you want to talk about?
No, we covered it so far.
Okay. Now, next up on the couch, on the commitment couch, is Danny and Beck. And this week, y'all, as I said, Beck put her foot in it. And when she's being held accountable, she's like, hey, I said it, poor choice of words. I, copped it. But Beck, after she spoke about the week, she said it made their relationship stronger because Danny stood by her. When everybody iced Beck out and wouldn't talk to Beck for a whole day until, Chris and Sam came to check on her. Basically, Danny was at her side. He's dependable, and he didn't leave her. John asks, are you confident that this will last in the real world? She said, I don't know. I really don't. I'm scared because my feelings are strong. And Beck tells Danny that she's in love with him. And Danny dodged that. He dodged it. I'm on the spot. What was the question? And he has not thought about beyond the present time. Because why? Because he ducking and dodging the mess that Beck is involved in. But he ducked that. What are your thoughts, JR? He ducked that. I thought that was a good dodge, duck, and dive that Danny did.
Yeah, like Danny's in a very similar situation to Scott. Beck is always trying to cause problems for other couples, always intentionally putting her foot in her mouth, and then always crying and apologizing afterwards. And Danny doesn't do a good job, in my opinion, of saying, listen, I don't want to be in any more drama. Why are you always in someone else's business? If you're not beefing with Gia, then you're making crass remarks, crass jokes that don't land. You know, I think Beck's speech was always going to go bad. The moment she called everyone to attention to say that she was about to make an announcement, I was like, oh no. Right? And what did she do? She proceeded to toast to everyone. And then she aired out something very private about Rachel and Stephen, who have been struggling with intimacy issues. And this is known amongst the group because they've had commit me couches, they've had discussions about the challenges and things that they've been facing. So for Beck to air out that particular part of their intimacy, knowing that Rachel and Stephen both are awkward about even talking to each other about those type of things, it was a very malicious thing to do because it was a joke made at Rachel's expense about something she's particularly sensitive about.
Right.
So Beck doesn't have self-awareness to be making speeches about anything. Listen, I hate to say it because I don't want to be rude, but she needs to learn how to be quiet. The more she talks about things, the more likely she is to indirectly hurt someone or intentionally hurt someone. And then she has these weird tantrums that no one understands her or she didn't mean anything by it. Stop putting yourself in those situations. And that's where I think Danny needs to come in. Danny doesn't involve himself in the drama, but he needs to pull her away. He needs to say, listen, Beck, focus on what we got here. You know, she tried to put him on the spot on the couch and say, you know, I think, you know, I love you and all this other stuff. And you're right. Danny was put in an awkward position. The spot was on him and he basically said in his confessional, listen, I'm not going to say the L word until I actually mean it. I don't care how much pressure you put me under. If I'm not ready, I'm not ready. And Beck probably felt a bit awkward, despite her playing it off on the couch. She probably felt a bit awkward that it wasn't reciprocated when she said it. But I can understand why he didn't say it, because it seems very forced and not natural. Like when you're focusing on so much negativity and hostility with all the other classmates all the time, when have you had time to cultivate their relationship in order for him to naturally respond with the L word?
I mean, we're still remembering how he looked the first night they were together. I'm thinking that Danny is allowing her to be her wild self so that it's a justification for when he ends things. I'm going to have her back. I'm going to be very quiet. I'm going to be stoic. I'm not going to say anything against her, but I'm not going to say anything for her either. So it's like, Danny is like, and yes, Munira, I'm like you. Every time he's like, as a gentleman, we should do this as a gentleman. I did it as a gentleman. And it's like, yeah, you say gentleman too much. Okay. You know, Clyde wasn't a gentleman and you're looking for a Bonnie to your Clyde. I'm sorry, sir. I know it's a saying, but Danny just sits there and like he's swept up in it and he's just trying to be supportive. But I'm like, you're letting her drown so that, you know, people would say, oh no, save yourself, Danny. We see how she's behaving.
Yeah, but they're right. He should save himself because, like I said, it's her that keeps getting into the drama and putting herself there. Why is she sending screenshots to Gia when they already have beef the whole season? She should know that by talking about these couples behind their backs, Gia is the type of person, because it's not the first time she's aired the screenshots a few weeks ago at one of the dinner parties at the dinner table. So why are you still continuing to have those type of conversations with her, knowing that she'll air out your business? And Danny must be thinking to himself, listen, I am waiting for you to keep doing these things because you're not listening. You're not focusing on what we're here to do. So when it comes to commitment time at the end of the season, these are valid reasons why I'm out of here. I'm cutting out. It's one, like, I'm doing the admirable thing by defending you while we're together as much as I can, but you keep putting us into problems and I don't want to deal with that. In the real world, are you like this in the real world as well? If we live together, are you going to be making friends with my friends and causing trouble and talking behind their backs and all this other stuff? Why would Danny want that? He wouldn't. And on top of that, Beck is the most insecure member on the show. Like, she is so insecure that alone is enough to drive to put Danny off.
It is enough to put any of us off. She just keeps on going back round and round. It's like we're always dodging something. So yeah, I don't even have time for these feelings, because you don't even have time for these feelings because you're always, apologizing. So I just, I could see the play either way with Danny. I would be exhausted too with Beck, but you know what, y'all? They, let me put it up. They both decided to stay. On the couch, they both decided to stay another week. I think y'all should have went home and called it a day.
Yeah, especially Danny. Why are you putting stay for, bro?
I don't know. I think he's like, okay, we got over this hurdle. I can dress like a gentleman another week.
There are going to be so many hurdles. You're going to get tired. Yeah, she's creating too many obstacles for you to be happy together. So,
hey, I told you I would have been done the minute she left that crown pin on the wedding day.
Exactly.
I would have
been done when she kept, talking about, hey, did you pick up any ladies in that shirt? Oh, so is that why you bought that shirt to the honeymoon? Oh, look at you. You're looking at that jogger over there. Oh, why didn't you give her another look? I'm thinking, Danny, what are you doing, bro? I really thought it was over for them. But I think because they slept together, then that kind of made it more difficult to leave.
Yeah, I think it'll be difficult. Many of the things they do is performative to me, and I'm trying to stay invested in them as a couple. But when they left the retreat, I know they didn't leave the experiment, but the whole cinematic movement of it, I was like, why y'all doing too much? Y'all doing too much. And maybe that's production.
No, they're doing too much. That's not edit.
Thank you. Thank you for confirming. They're doing too much. Is there anything else for Danny and Beck?
No, man. They need to come off the screen now.
Ooh, okay. Next up is the couple that they were talking about. The couple they were talking about. Rachel and Steven, y'all. Rachel and Steven, when they were asked, how is the relationship going? How's everything going for you? Has intimacy progressed? And Steven was like, hey, we've been under the microscope this week. I've been consoling Rachel the whole time. What she does not need is for me to put the moves on her. Okay. So Alessandra, the expert, did have something very interesting to say, like, why did what Beck say impact you so strongly, Rachel? And Rachel said, I understand Beck didn't mean it in malice, but it felt like it cheapened the moment she had with Steven, and she felt humiliated. She also realized she was being influenced by Gia and Juliet and felt that she was being used as a pawn later on. Okay. She said Juliet and Beck was coming to her with extra stuff, and Beck says, hey, that was all fabricated. She's like, I just don't know between Juliet and Beck. I don't know who's saying the truth. But her relationship with Steven, their connection has gotten stronger, even though there's no intimacy. And Steven says they are still very well connected. What were your thoughts on Steven and Rachel? Because I was like, at some point, I was like, Rachel, stop crying.
I wasn't surprised at how she took it because it was very embarrassing. Rachel has, as I said, she's got a very big problem with intimacy. She's very shy about that type of thing, and especially with Steven. So when the joke first was made, then you know, she obviously took it very personally, as I expected. And at that time, she hadn't heard Steven's conversation with Beck, where he had spoken about it in a little bit more detail, in a joking way. But you can't trust Beck with any information. Rachel, you know, she's tried to be friends with everybody and tried to keep a low profile, but she's getting drawn into these situations now. So their intimacy is very sacred to them. They haven't moved as fast as other couples, and it's understandable. And as I said before, I think Beck should have been aware of that before she made such a remark in public. Wait, where have you gone, Elsid? Oh,
I'm here. What's the matter?
you're just frozen for a second.
Oh,
It's all good.
okay. I'm sorry. I didn't realize it was frozen.
It's all right. You're back now.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, Sam. Apparently I was frozen for everybody. Oh, okay. There wasn't much for Rachel and Steven this week, other than they have, I guess, forgiven Beck and gotten back into the fold with Beck. So there wasn't much else for them, other than they decided to stay in the experiment. They're going to be here for another week. But as y'all see, even though Rachel is giggling, as y'all see in this photo, Rachel is still a little saddened by the whole situation. And I wonder at this point, when they are talking about it, I wonder if she's just saddened by the fact that she was used as
Yes,
a pawn rather than
That-
the cheapening of the moment.
that's what I think it is. When they were on the couch and she said she had that revelation that she was being used as a pawn in a game between Gia and Beck and Juliet to some degree as well. So, you know, those were probably girls that she thought she could trust to some degree, and they have a friendship, and there's a level of betrayal in what transpired. So she is very down about that. But also, you know, her relationship with Steven is progressing. As I said, not at the same rate as the other couples, but they're happy, and she even forgave him for talking to Beck, making that joke. So they are making moves in the right direction.
Right. They are moving in the right direction. I do think that the next morning when Steven took her out for a date to get her out of the house, that was the best thing for them. And I do hope that they do continue in the experiment, making stride for stride. But do I have hope they're going to stay together? I don't know. And the next couple, they didn't say much about them, so we ain't gonna say much about them. Okay. Chris and Sam, they kind of stayed out of the stuff, but Gia likes to go to Chris and tell Chris all the hot tea, and Chris sips that tea. I haven't heard that Chris is spreading the tea around. I haven't heard that Chris is sipping on the tea with Sam. They're going stride for stride in their relationship. They have gotten closer. Okay. They're talking about their future, that Sam is going to be mainly in Sydney, Chris mainly at the farm. They're going to be back and forth though. They both decided let me pull up. They both decided that they're going to stay in the experiment. Okay. That's as much as they talked about them, other than they have progressed in their intimacy, and that was it about Chris and Samuel. There's nothing to say.
All I will say is Chris definitely is trying to stay close to the teapot. You know, he's taking on all this information, rolling with the bad girls, the mean girls, whereas Sam seems to be staying out of it. And Chris needs to focus on their relationship rather than mixing it up with the mean girls. Sorry.
Right. That is so correct. Next up on the couch is David and Alyssa. Okay. Nobody's asking David how's that knee. We stopped asking David about his knee, and he busted up on the honeymoon. But anyway, he says that Alyssa is the storm and he is the harbor for that storm. She says he is a pillar and a strong place, a safe, strong place to be. He's like, I'm good for her. We balance each other out. He's falling for her. She said, I can't scare him off. And while they're saying that, and it's sounding real nice and real like we're together, y'all, I didn't see not one hug or too much at the retreat. They were separate. They didn't even have breakfast together. They're off doing their own separate things. And I'm like, are we really building here, or are we just together to make it to the end? I'm not sure about these two. What do you think?
I think what changed their relationship to a degree is when she was talking about her experience with him, and she was saying that she operates at a higher frequency and things like that. I was like, what the hell? What are you talking about? And so I think her choice of wording has affected their relationship. But he's still enthusiastic. He likes her. He likes everything about her. And I do think she likes him. But as they said last week, she misses the toxicity that she's used to, and David doesn't provide that. So now that that's come out, that's going to affect their relationship to some degree, because David must be thinking, okay, well, look, I'm not that dude that you were dating before. But at the same time, he's thinking, well, why do you miss that? Why are you not happy to not have that drama going on in your relationship? It's all external. All the drama is coming from people hating on us for how well we're doing. So what, you want to be beefing and arguing with me as well? That's, why do you want that? So they're moving
with your ex.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Toxic relationship don't work. And David has said from day one, he's the type of guy that would put his foot down and try and snuff all of that stuff out. But again, Alyssa is not toxic herself. I think what she's saying is she just misses the sparring and the arguments and the breakups and the slam down the phone. She misses that type of stuff. She's not used to a relationship just being on an even keel and going in the right direction. So they have like a difference of relationship experiences. And hopefully she gets out of her system and they can continue to progress.
Yeah, because you don't have to be bothered. You don't have to be, pulling and tugging to be, in a solid relationship. He's like, why do you want to be bickering? We're good. Are we not good? Are you not happy? I mean, if don't rock the boat. That's what David is like. We are good. Okay. So just relish in the fact that we are good together. And y'all, this week, Alyssa and David both said stay. They're going to stay for another week. Okay. I think they complement each other very, very well. I
agree.
if we're going to be, apart from the toxicity comments, if we're going to be completely honest, Alyssa, and David is more like my husband and I. He's more the quiet, stoic, looking one, and I'm more the, I'll more be the friendly, outgoing one. But I do not want the drama. Mm-mm. Leave it alone. Leave it out there.
I think what would be interesting is if the experts actually ask them, are you choosing to stay in the experiment or are you choosing to stay with each other? That would be a very important question to ask this couple.
Right. And how have you progressed in your relationship? We didn't hear that question for them tonight is, basically, have you thought about outside of the experiment? Have you thought beyond the experiment? Because I think it's only 2 or 3 more commitment ceremonies before the final. Yeah. So it's like, have you thought about this?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. She looks different. Has she gained weight? I don't know. I think sometimes for me with Alyssa is based on the outfit that she wears. She looks a little bit different, based on the outfit. So this was the most casual I've seen her in this outfit at all. And heck, if she gained weight, I would, because I'd be stress eating. Every week, my name is brought up and people searching for dirt on me in my hometown. I would be stress eating. Dag on it.
Yeah, that is a very valid point. The amount of stress that Alyssa and David, but more Alyssa, has been under is immense. All of the mean girls, Gia in particular, and Beck, they've been constantly trying to trash Alyssa behind her back. And then what Gia does is she'll say, oh, well, you said this about Alyssa or whatever. Or even Juliet's jumped in now into the mix. You said this about Alyssa and this, that, the other. So she's hearing her name being called all the time and she hasn't even done anything. This is a couple that have actually been focusing on each other and their relationship. They're trying to stay away from all of the nonsense. They're not particularly pally and faking it with people. They are just always together and doing their thing. And that is what's irritating the people that are trying to talk bad about them.
Because every time they come for them, they don't rise to the occasion. They don't go tit for tat. They're like, what's wrong with you? Why are you doing this? They're very much solid in that regard. And speaking of solid, the members and I who had dinner together, we noticed David did not wear a shirt under his dinner jacket. Is that a new fashion? JR, tell us. Is this a new fashion? Or was that just for TV?
Could be. He's got a physique that he wants to show off. So, and it could be warm out there. Australia is typically a tropical country. So, he wants to show off them Niger features.
Hey, he's saying y'all ladies aren't the only ones that could show cleavage. Okay. We were not disappointed. Okay. We were not disappointed. Thank you, David, for the eye candy. Okay. Was there anything else for Alyssa and David for this week?
No, that's it for them.
See, David was looking nice. David was looking nice. Next up on the couch, that had an interesting conversation for us. Philip and Stella. Now this week, y'all, Philip and Stella stayed out of the limelight, should you say, but at the retreat, she was saying some things that I thought was suspect, and I'm glad they brought it up. So she grabs tissue before they even sit on the couch, y'all. Philip did this week tell her that he does love her. He said, I love you to her. She, meanwhile, is like, she has not said it back. Okay. She's like, I told him in a long-winded way. She has not said, I love you back. Okay. Then, she said she's now feeling a sense of maybe abandonment may be coming. And she can't love a man that may leave her because she's like, he won't move to where I am. He doesn't want to move to my side of Australia. There's going to be issues. So why would I pour love into this man? So Philip says it's unfair. It's either her way or the highway. From day one, she has had conditions on him, and that's been difficult for him. And she has been saying stuff to him to bring him down a peg, questioning his masculinity. We're telling him, well, what you just said there or what you're doing is very feminine, that sometimes you have to do what you don't want to do. when he didn't want to go party, y'all. He did not want to go party and hang out with the people. He wanted to stay home. She's like, well, that's very feminine of you. You just need to just suck it up and do it. She says she's starting to pick at him. She recognizes that. She doesn't want to deal with herself sometimes. She did call herself the B word when they were back on the other couch. But again, their physical intimacy is not happening because she's not on birth control. And we know that there are a growing number of women who don't wish to infuse their bodies and change their physiology with birth control. And Philip, is terrified of having a baby right now. So she says, why don't he just go snippity snip? Why didn't he just go snip? And the experts are like, that's a procedure. She's like, it's reversible. They're like, but it's still a procedure. And they said, why don't y'all get condominiums? Come on now. She don't like it. She don't like how condominiums feel. Excuse me? Excuse me. What did you think about Philip and stuff? Because it's the question in his masculinity, the intimacy we can't have because she don't want to use any kind of protection. I'm like, are we okay? Are we okay?
Well, no, we're not okay because she began to emasculate him. That's what that is. Right? When you're talking about, oh, a real man would do this, or you're too feminine, or, you know. No, he's not. Have we ever seen Philip do anything feminine? Not from any edits I've seen on the show. He just doesn't want to party. He already stated from the outset, he's the type of guy that wakes up, goes to the gym and looks after his body. He didn't drink at the wedding. He's not a party animal. That doesn't make him feminine. It just makes him someone that doesn't drink. But for her to use that language is emasculation. And that shouldn't be condoned or swept under the rug. It's a very rude thing to do. Right? And you know, she's lucky that he's got that mindset, because there's some guys, the moment you call them a B or try and tell them you're more manly than they are or anything like that, they'll snap on you. And he hasn't done that. He's given her a lot of grace. And then, like you said, she has been coming off as a bit, it's my way or the highway type thing. And he's willing to go along with it to a degree, but he's going to rightfully call it out in the couples couch when they're asked on his experience of how they're doing, because that's what he's experiencing. Yeah. When it comes to the L word, she said last week that it should be the man that says it first, right? So she kind of give the impression that she is there, but she needs him to say it first before she can say it. And then he finally says it authentically, and she can't reciprocate. She don't want to say it back. Obviously, she has to say it in her own time and mean it. But the whole thing is you tried to lead it to that point, and then when he finally gave you what you wanted, you still weren't ready to say it yourself. So why did you put that pressure on him in the first place then? Right? So that was what I thought about the particular L word thing. And when it comes to the contraceptive debate, right, he doesn't want to get pregnant right now. Obviously, you've only known this girl 5 minutes, so that's understandable. Her talking about him needing to get a vasectomy. No, he doesn't. What? And then when you feel like kids at a later date, then he should have another surgery to unsnip. No, just go, like you said, go to the pharmacy, go to the petrol station, go to wherever your local Kroger's or shopping center is, and get your prophylactics. And then when the experts asked her about that, the intimacy coach asked her about that, she said she doesn't like rubbers. Not that she's allergic or there's any medical condition preventing it. She said she doesn't like it. No, that's too risky for me. So you want to have unprotected, but you also want to make sure he's had the snip. You don't have authority over his body. If he wants to snip, then that's his choice. If he's resisting that and saying, no, I don't want to do that, that's too drastic, I can just put something on the end of it, then you make it work. But she tried to make it out as if it's an issue, it's big enough for them to break up over. It's not. If it is, then that means you're not really feeling them as much as you pretend to be.
I did like this flip. Okay. I like this flip because, again, we have the conversation. There are many ladies out there who do not wish to take hormones to affect their, to be birth control. Totally understandable. But birth control isn't the only issue in this whole thing. You don't know this man but for a month. He don't know you for a month. And you're saying that protection is out of the question? So, and Stella's not giving me that she wants to have babies right away. So you want him to do a roulette? You want him to just take the chance? That doesn't sound very smart to begin with.
That doesn't sound very safe either. It sounds like she's not into practicing safety, which is very alarming.
Very alarming. So Philip is right. He should not be in there without some kind of barrier. It's like, wait a minute, have we been tested long enough for anything that's latent? Again, you want this man to say, I love you. You want him to, experience you without protection. What are we doing? Stella, are we, this is wild. I need the people Stella has dated in the past to step forward, because I can't believe this it was filmed in 2025, but I can't believe in 2026 we're talking like this. But I'm glad we're hearing a woman out here saying, I don't like the condominiums. Because, usually we're sold the story that it's the men that don't like wearing it. But now we have a woman that doesn't want the man to wear it. These are interesting conversations to be had, because I did not expect this from either one of them. And I would have liked to have heard him speak up about what does he think about, using that kind of protection. She don't want it. She stepped up and said she don't want it. But I would like to have heard Philip, what does he think? And I think he is within his right to withhold that type of intimacy, because he's not drinking. And he said, I daggone sure I'm not taking the chance that a kid may, come of this.
Yeah, and that's a very smart thing to do, because, again, like he's hearing from her, from a safety aspect. She wants to be quite risky with the intimacy, and that's concerning, because you don't know each other long enough to be even thinking about that. And then they've talked about children to a degree, but he said he doesn't want any right now. So your answer of get a vasectomy, if he's got multiple kids already and he's in danger of impregnating you, then yeah, of course. But, what are you talking about so early in the game? Yes. So I think there are some concerns about Stella. They were a very stellar couple. See what I did there? They were a very stellar couple. And then, all of a sudden they just seem to have hit these bits of turbulence. And, it's not to do with insecurity. It just seems to be more to do with a level of control and a level of a high level of risk when it comes to their intimacy.
You're right. You hit the nail on the head with the matter of control, but she also said a fear of abandonment. Yet I'm struggling with that thought, because what we have been told of Stella and her story is that she picked up and left her family and home country and went to Australia. So I'm not, and it must be more to her story, of course, but I'm not getting the whole fear of abandonment unless she leaves before someone leaves her. So, when she's telling Philip, I need you to come to my side of Australia, is it because she has her friends, her family, but she's left that behind before. So I'm just not getting where this is coming from with Stella, because she made it seem she's very, very open. Philip did say in the beginning he's very open to it because of the nature of his business is mainly online, is fitness, it is speaking engagements. So they need to just meet in the middle, and she needs to be able to soften up and compromise. And this is not talking about her femininity, but it is about talking about your partner may also have their reasons to stay on their side of Australia.
And the emasculating comments need to stop. You need to check yourself before you wreck yourself, Stella, because that can't continue. That will drive a wedge between you. You're gonna be tearing him down, making him feel less of a man. That's not cool. So I hope she nips that in the bud early.
And that is exactly what the expert Mel said. This is a crucial stage now, and think before you speak to him. Think. And in that note, both Stella and Philip, they decided to write stay. They both decided to stay in the experiment. But y'all see how they are on the couch there. Philip's head is tilted to the side. He's very concerned, okay? And Stella is stating what she wants, that she wants no contraception, that she wants him to move to her side of town, that she needs him to come out and party. And I'm not hearing a lot about what Philip wants.
It doesn't matter what Philip wants. That's why. If it mattered, then she would be concerned about what Philip wants. The fact that she isn't, it's all about her.
Right. Please hit the like button, y'all. Please hit the like button, because we're about to get into the main event, okay? We're about to get into the last couple of today. Juliet and Joel. Now, y'all know Juliet and Joel, just like Chris and Sam, and Stephanie and now I forgot her husband. They came in the middle of the experiment. They are one of the later couples. Apparently, y'all, at the very last night of the retreat at the bonfire, Juliet went at Beck, calling her all kinds of names that they had to bleep out because it is not fit for television, okay? It is not the very friendly see you next Tuesday, okay? It's a lot of words that they can't even allow her lips to be seen. She was very, very vicious to Beck, okay? Now, she was also a little bit mean to Beck, well, quite mean to Beck at the dinner party. So the expert Alessandra asked what happened, you know, when they sat on the couch, like, hey, what happened? Y'all are really good this week. How come I didn't think y'all would get back? Joel said, hey, she came, she apologized. I figured that it was heartfelt, and we went pub crawling. We got warm. We hooked up for a little bit. And she's like, just a little bit. Did we have kiss chemistry? No, y'all were drunk. I'm sorry. Joel and Juliet, y'all were drunk. She said, I saw him in a different light. You saw him in a drunk light. I'm sorry. She says, at the retreat, she did say, let's share a bed. Okay. Hey, Lotus, good to see you. She wanted him to have her back more when she apologized to Beck at the table. And she felt like she was fighting by herself. Danny, Scott, and David all stood up for their wife when there were issues, and she felt unsupported. Now, Joel is like, hey, I felt like Danny and Beck came at you in a respectful manner. There was no need for me to step in. They were not attacking you. They were not insulting you. But she has a different perspective. So Alessandra said, why did you call Beck those nasty names? Why do you choose, Juliet, to be so aggressive to Beck, using vile words towards her? I just saw that instead of Joel, now you set your sights on Beck, is the same behavior, different target. Jewel said she's seen Beck say worse things. And Alessandra is like, does it matter? Does it matter? Jewel said, this is why I felt comfortable talking to Beck like that, since she said it to other people. Alessandra said, why does Beck get under your skin? Juliet goes on to say that she gets away with a lot of bad behavior and I can't stand it. And that's a Gia talking point, y'all. That is Gia word for word. She's tired of Beck getting away with things. So when you address things, she will say that you're lying. This is Juliet saying. Beck will say you're lying and she'll change the story. Now Beck chimes in at this confessional and says, "Hey, why are you calling me names? What have I done to you?" Juliet said, "You should be more careful because I have stuff on you. Screenshots of what you have said about Alyssa and David. It is vile, so vile." And you said, and they blocked out her words. Now I have, I have the a couple photos for folks. Let me take y'all comments down. Y'all please forgive me. Okay. This is the beginning of it. Everybody's face at the beginning of it. Alessandra is at the bottom, like where my photo is. She's like, what are we doing? Are we really for real? Even Sam gave me a look. And Gia is looking at Beck when Jules is saying, well, you know, she gets away with saying stuff. So I had to come at her. Now, when Juliet said what Beck had said and the vile talk, this is everybody's expression after now. Juliet is at the top right. They blurred out her mouth so you can't read her lips. Now, when she said, "You better watch out because I have these text messages on you," look at the face of Gia and Scott at the top left. They are gleeful. They are gleeful that this and the text messages stuff is coming out. Beck is shocked. The experts are shocked. And if you look at Alyssa and David, Alyssa knew exactly who to look at. She's looking at Gia and Scott. She knew where this was coming from. Alyssa said, "I am nobody's fool. I know where this is coming from, and y'all have been coming for me." Okay? So this is Juliet session on the couch. This is what has been transpiring. Okay? So the experts are trying to hold her to an account. Let me make us bigger. The experts are trying to hold Juliet to account. And even though Gia and Scott are very, very smug, Juliet said, "I'm disgusted." Okay? "I'm disgusted by how Beck behaves." So Beck is like, "What are you doing? What are you trying to prove? Why are you coming after me?" And she says, "You trap me in conversations, Beck. You get into my head." Beck said, "I haven't talked to you for 3 days." Basically, Gia is in Juliet's head. Alessandra said, "How did you get these screenshots, Juliet?" Juliet says, "Gia sent them." Everybody looks at Gia at that point. She's like, "Why would you do that, Gia?" Alessandra is asking Gia. And Gia said, "Hey, she asked what was Beck like, and I sent her the screenshots." Trying to be all innocent. I just sent it to her. Juliet is then said, then she told by Gia all the vile stuff Beck said about her in the nail salon. How Beck is expecting to see me get effed up in this commitment couch. And Beck just shakes her head. "Nope, that's not what was said." Gia's like, "Oh, no. She didn't say that. I didn't say that." And Jules is like, "But that's what you said, Gia." Right in real time, Beck is hiding her hand and backpedaling. She said, No. I told you that Beck said, and Beck is like, "No, what I said was she will be held accountable for how she spoke to me." So then Juliet expresses, "Well, that's when we came up with a plan for these screenshots, that this at the commitment couch was the time to use it." Alessandra said, "Oh, there's a plan." Gia says, "Yeah, really, I didn't really want them coming out." Nobody believed her because we heard early in the episode her conspiring with Scott that she will have Juliet's back for when she brings out the screenshots. So it was planned. So Juliet said, "Me calling her names should not be such a big thing since she has done worse." Alessandra said, That ain't got nothing to do with your behavior. You make yourself look so much worse than Beck because you are doing a conscious retaliation with the purpose to hurt. She's like, Juliet is like, I'm still covering so much. I don't think this experiment is for me. Y'all, Juliet gets up. She walks out. While she's walking out, she says, what the F, Gia? And Joel runs after her. Now, I do have a few photos of that. This is what happened when Juliet walked out. I'm sorry I'm being long-winded, y'all, but this is what's going on. Juliet gets up on the top right. She walks out the door. That is Gia's face. And I got to take my banner down because see at the bottom there? See at the bottom, I showed you exactly what Juliet said. Gia, what the bleep? But we heard it, even though they put the closed captionings were edited. And these are the experts looking at Gia in the corner like, Gia, we know you had a hand in this. Okay? So this is all the faces of what is happening throughout this. Okay? This is what's happening. This is what is happening around these people. Hold on, let me put my sticker back up. And I have one more photo. Sorry, y'all. I have one more photo. Well, a few more. Sorry, JR. Sorry, JR. This is Juliet. And I got to put us on the side. This is Juliet walking out, telling, after she walked out, Joel runs behind her saying, Juliet is saying, you just completely threw me under the bus. That's what she's telling Joel, that he threw her under the bus. Now, after she has left, there's conversations happening. She pushes Joel out the elevator. She's going home. She ain't here for these foolishness. People doing all kinds of things. She can't stand it. She is bolting. She calls him a dog and a pig. He has been gaslighting her. Don't touch me. You threw me under the bus. You are disgusting. You are evil. And the amount of times that she has said F off, I cannot tally it. But while she's gone, this is what's happening. While she's gone, this is the conversation that's happening. And I had to bring this up because Gia is asking Scott, should I go check on Jules? And Scott says, hey, to be honest, I think she's off of you. Philip is saying Jules got caught in a lie. Gia says, I feel like she's going to come back and come for me because I didn't back her. And Gia continues on to say, like, I just don't want to keep getting fired at. And I can't keep copying it. She can't keep taking it. It is very interesting when she's the one giving it.
Exactly.
It is very interesting when she's the one. I will pause there. I have 2 more photos, but I will pause there. JR, let loose.
Man, Juliet seems to be in love with Gia and not Joel. That's for sure. Her affinity to Gia and all the BS that Gia is instigating is crazy. She rides at dawn, as she said, for Gia, doesn't care about her own relationship at all. Now, the screenshot thing, when Gia shared the screenshot, it was maliciously done to expose Beck, right? Juliet automatically doesn't like Beck because Gia doesn't like Beck. Juliet's been there less time than anybody else. She was the last couple to come in. And she already has tried to find alliances rather than work on her relationship. Now, as we've seen already, she didn't like Joel. She was hating that man from the first time she saw him, pretty much. He's very performative. has a very different personality what she was expecting. And yet again, we see a bride who, because she doesn't like the groom that was chosen for her, she's lashed out multiple times on him. Now, to compensate for the fact that she's not attracted to him, she's now buddied up with Gia. So she can spend all time kikiing with Gia. That's her whole motive for being on the show. It's not for Joelle. It's to buddy up to Gia more and more and get into drama over Beck and Alyssa and whoever else Gia wants to go after. When she was sitting with Joelle in the apartment, she was sitting there saying, yeah, you know, I really ride or die for Gia, and you know, I can't wait to see her at the commitment ceremony. And Joel's kind of like, have you spoken to her? Yeah, I spoke to her this morning. She was sending me messages and all these different things. And I was like, this is how she should be talking about you, not Gia. Gia's got her own relationship to think about. Why are you cooing over this girl like that? Right? Anyway, so Joel, I think, obviously knows the writings on the wall. Like, he's not stupid. He knows that she's not interested in him like that. The little closeness that they had where they decided to share a bed at the retreat, that was alcohol induced. She had beer goggles on and she probably just wanted a cuddle. Nothing more. She's not attracted to him. She doesn't like him. It was just, she had the beer goggles on and just needed some comfort at that particular time. Why? Because then she can front to all the rest of the couples that at least they've made some advance, right? And then when she's questioned on the couch, has there been any progress? Yeah, we shared a bed. So it's just for storyline purposes, right? To make her come off in a better light, that she doesn't completely hate Joel. But she hates that man. Let's not get it twisted. She don't like him. And you can tell by the language she used when she stormed out. Because it wasn't Joel that threw her under the bus. It was Gia that threw her under the bus. Right? Everything she said to Joel, she should have said to Gia. Because what happened was, when she tried to expose Beck's character with the foul language that she uses about Alyssa and all of that, she's quite accustomed to using that language herself. No one prompts her. She literally flies off the handle, and the first thing out her mouth is effing this and you this and CUNT and all the rest of it, you know, going nuts with it. And she's been doing that to Joel for quite a long time in such a short space of time. She said it so often. She's called him those type of names. Then seeing the opportunity to jump on Beck and win more favor with Gia, she's decided to air out Beck's personal messages. So she was hoping that Gia would back her up in front of the experts, but no, Gia basically said, well, look, I was just trying to show her how Beck is. These are the messages. Take a look for yourself. Juliet took that as, oh, well, let me go and jump Beck at the commit me, and it, like, hopefully it makes us closer friends. You can see that I'm riding for you. No, G is just using you as a pawn as well, Juliet, and you should have seen that coming. She doesn't like you like that. Yeah, you might be a friend, but she's only known you less. She's known you less time than anybody else. It's only because Brooke left early. She needs a new buddy, and that's where Juliet comes in.
But right? Juliet forgot how Gia and Scott acted at their wedding. They were attacking them at their own wedding. Calling what Joel has got to be a model for toilet cleaner, and then trying to embarrass her when, you know, but Joel turned it around and said, I didn't want a bride with any kind of plastic fillers. Right. Juliet is forgetting.
Yeah, but the thing is, those attacks weren't aimed at Juliet. They were all aimed at Joel. So she's quite cool with that. Nobody, they didn't say anything bad about Juliet. It was all about Joel and his performative personality and, you know, mocking him and all of that other stuff.
I can see that. I could see how Juliet was distant from it, but they tried to embarrass your groom, whether you like him or not, but they were vile at her wedding.
Of course, but she doesn't care about Joel to even want to defend that. She doesn't care. Right. In her mind, she's probably thinking, yeah, like, I feel the same way. Like, The same thing that you were saying at my wedding are the same things. I hate that man. That's what she's thinking. That's what she's never there hasn't been one instance where she's spoken up for Joel or said anything positive about him. She literally piles on whenever she gets the opportunity to. And she's been very cold to him. She's been very rude. And this is her true character. I don't think she's led by Gia all the way. This is her feeling comfortable enough around Gia to express her natural personality, which is to be very hostile, disruptive, and disrespectful at times. This isn't editing. She is giving the producers the stuff to edit, and it's vile. So, I was surprised that they stayed for another week last week. This time, there's no going back. Like when she stormed out, Joel, he's a better man than me for walking after her and trying to console her and everything. And look at the language she used when Joel was trying to get her back, calm her down, let's finish this. It's unresolved. Why are you leaving? This, that, the other. The language she used was terrible.
She was like, ew, no, ew. And then she pushed him out the elevator.
Then she called him a pig. She called him a dog. She was going nuts on him. So, very embarrassing for Joel, and not for the first time. She's embarrassed him every single week that they've been in front of the experts, right? So their time is over.
Well, he went on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, in the meantime, Gia went to the bathroom. She pulled a Brooke. She went to the bathroom.
And quit.
And she too leaves.
Leaving Scott there embarrassed. Leaving Scott embarrassed.
Joel is back on the couch when he tells everyone that he was called a dog and a pig. That is Stella's reaction there. Okay. That was the clearest reaction. And Scott is just looking at his watch because he's wondering, where is Gia? Okay. Well, before this happens, let me put us back. Let me put us back up. Before this actually happened, okay, is when Gia said, should I go check on Juliet? And remember, I showed you all those screenshots. Should I check on Juliet because she may come back and come after me? And that's when Scott is like, no, she's kind of put off with you. So Alyssa is trying to talk and say, hey, you either got to laugh or cry. Gia says, I feel sick. I don't want to be fired upon. I don't want people coming at me, but she comes after them first. Gia she got the evidence. She'll give it to a mouthpiece who will be the one to take on the frontal attack. And she's going to use them to throw the stone, and she's going to hide her hand. I'm sure she didn't expect Juliet to say, Gia gave me the text messages. But Gia said she needs to go to the bathroom. But instead, she goes to check and see where's Juliet. When told Juliet is left, she's like, you know what? I need an Uber. I need to go. D-mic me. Let's go. So they're asking her to finish the commitment ceremony. She's like, no. She's like, I showed the screenshots to a girlfriend, so sue me. No, you showed it to her for her to take the charge of the attack. She's like, Beck says stuff about me nonstop. The focus should be on me and Scott and not everyone around us. Scott's on the couch. Gia's in the elevator. Scott's checking his watch. The first time that Joel sits down, checking his watch again. And the experts, say, hey, it's, sorry, Joel. We appreciate you. We're sorry she said those vile things about you. Sorry you had to listen to that. You've been generous to her and you've shown who you are and you have maintained your integrity. And when they end, the group hugs. Joel, everybody hugs Joel in a group hug. Scott runs for the door. Where's Gia? Producer says she's gone. He's like, no, she's not. What do you mean? They're like, hey, she got her stuff. She got an Uber and she left. Scott is like, but we just had a great couch session. It's all the bull with the other girls. They interfere in our relationship. Scott is still, as you said, everybody's seen, still thick-head. He said he's just jittery. He can't, he's like, we've been falling for each other. He's going to go try and get his wife. What what did you think about that ending of it? Joel coming back, Scott running after. Gia didn't even tell Scott, didn't even send him a text message that she leaving, and she just left. And he's thinking they're interfering in his relationship. I was like, Scott, you clearly have the wrong perspective. What were your thoughts on that ending?
Again, Scott just isn't smart. Listen, man, your girl basically got up, said she was going to the toilet, pulled a Brooke, like you said, left you on the couch by yourself moments after saying that she's going to stay, right? You had your chance on the couch. You guys stayed. So this outburst by Juliet has made her get up and basically quit the relationship temporarily to go and follow Juliet. Why? Again, Juliet's only been on the show for a few seconds. But you've just abandoned this relationship that you're supposedly happy with. This guy is going to meet your kid and you're going to have this family and you'll be talking about how everything's great and you're a power couple. And he's been riding for you the whole time, even at the expense of his own friendships in the group, his friendship with Danny. He's even sacrificed that friendship to support Gia. And she just up and left him without saying a word. Even if she did say, you know what, I'm going to go follow Juliet. Why? Stay with me. I'm your husband. Sit on the couch. Let's finish the ceremony. You can talk to her later or tomorrow. Why is it so urgent to go and try and get her side of it or try and apologize to her for throwing under the bus? Is that more important than what we got going on? Yeah. If Scott needs to leave, just based on that performance, that just showed you that she's not really into you, bro. What she's into is the drama and the chaos. She's going to go and follow the person who is embroiled in more drama rather than stay out of it. So, yeah, Scott, not smart, buddy. And Gia, very performative, very sneaky. You know, she felt like, I think she felt like when Juliet said what she said, it was like, oh no, I didn't mean for her to say all of that now. I hope she would have kept some cards close to her chest and use it for later. But she just tried to annihilate. She tried to expose everything. And I wasn't ready for that. So now she's going to go and pick up the pieces with Juliet. I think, you know, their obsession with each other is something else. I know there's two men on the show and they're the only, you know, same-sex couple. And I do know that Grayson was with the lady who had dated women before. But, you know, Gia and Juliet are giving me questions that there's something else going on between both of them. Because I don't see how you can be so smitten with each other.
It's just too much. It's too much.
It's way too much.
It's beyond girl code. It's like, and girl code, Gia likes to say she's a girl's girl. She kept on saying for quite a few episodes, I'm a girl's girl. I'm a girl's girl. That's not being a girl's girl. But meanwhile, you're doing everything to bring Beck down. How is that being a girl's girl?
It's not. It's not. She doesn't even know what, you know, I don't even know what the term means, but I don't think it means what she's doing.
Right.
Right. No, like Juliet, but when she was in the apartment with Joel, she said, I just love Gia. She used the L word for Gia. She said, I love Gia and I'm going to ride or die for her. Yo, that type of language there makes me feel like, you know what? This is something crazy. You're bonding over your wickedness and your bad attitudes towards everybody else. That's what's bonding you. And you both like it. You both thrive on it. And that makes you tighter. The more you team up and maliciously attack other people, that makes your friendship stronger. Both problematic. Both of them need to leave. Scott and Joel need to leave. Danny needs to leave.
Right. And Gia's saying that, you know, everybody's coming after me. She doesn't see her hand in it. Scott is blinded by, you know, her hand in it. And I'm like, dude, the only thing you told her is like, no, don't go after Juliet because she's basically done with you. But as I showed you all the the captions of what she said, she's like, I'm tired of people coming after me. And it's like, I'm tired as a viewer of seeing you start mess with other people.
Every single episode. and the thing is, she's not even the type of person that throws rocks and hides her hands. She's the type of person that throws rocks, gathers what they call flying monkeys, like she triangulates, and then she goes and hides and watches from behind the corner at all the carnage that's going off. Yeah, she's very sneaky, very, very devious with how she does it. But she's a rotten apple. G is a rotten apple. Beck is a rotten apple, and Juliet, out of nowhere, has joined them. And she's definitely a red flag and a rotten apple as well.
Well, I do have one final text message. As you all know, there is there's a social media gossip type of column called Chatter. They did show us because they got it, I guess, from Joel. Juliet wasn't done. Juliet was not done. She sent text messages to Joel. Let me pull it up. I did a screenshot of the screenshot. Oh, is it better here? Yeah, it's better there because I didn't cut out most of the language. Because it's bad language, okay? Okay. I'll just read it. But without the bad language part of it. Oh shoot. Daggone it. So Gia just called me to tell me how vile you were about me yesterday and how you just completely threw me under the bus when the night before we were extremely intimate and you backed me completely about how vile Beck's comments were. You loved how I planned to expose her with the text messages until you realized I was being made the martyr. And if you backed me, you go down with me, which is when you switched up quickly. That was a reflection of the first commitment ceremony. You have broken my heart completely, and Australia will
eventually see that.
Eventually see that. Sorry. I think you should take a good hard look at yourself. You made me feel so vulnerable. And after we were intimate, you turned on me the next day. I hope you know that no woman will ever subject herself to this type of torture that you've put me through. You were raised by such an amazing woman. I hopelessly expected more. That was the text message. And as I see, I noted Chatter. That is Chatter. CHATTR dot. That is their social media account that they posted this, and I have it here for y'all to enjoy, if we can say enjoy. What were your thoughts? Juliet just couldn't stop, could she?
What a toxic, manipulative person she is. And what she tried to do is be very performative in this particular message, because she wanted, just in case these messages came out, she tried to portray that he took advantage of her in some way and didn't support her, and he was complicit in what she was planning to do with Gia. No, he wasn't. Yeah, she's written all of that to try and manipulate him and try and orchestrate a situation so that she comes off in a better light. You're not the victim here, Juliet. You are the one that's been causing chaos and carnage with Gia, on Beck, and other people like, Alyssa and David were collateral damage. And even the whole Rachel incident as well. So you've been complicit in everything. Joel hasn't done anything with you. You're not doing anything with Joel. That's how far apart you are in terms of being together as a couple. You're not even on the same page in doing madness and mess. Joel is he's already said he doesn't need the show in the same way that other people need it. He's not trying to get followers. I think maybe advance his career to some degree, but he's there to find a partner first and foremost. Juliet is not trying to find a partner in Joel. She's trying to find a partner in Gia, so that they can team up and she can be besties and say, I made a friend from the experiment and that's my ride or die. That's all she seems to be there for. That message You know, because if you look, he asked her, how was the self-care day? So they obviously had a conversation before, and she said, I needed to take time to have some self-care for today. So when he's asked her, how did it go? That was the response that came back. Very orchestrated to try and manipulate him and make him feel bad for the way she's feeling. And she's only feeling bad because of what she's done herself. No one put a gun to your head. No one forced you. Gia didn't even force you. You've been doing this to try and prove yourself to Gia and expected Joel to back you up while you do that. You're very delusional. And yeah, to be honest, Juliet is very problematic, huge red flag. If anything, Australia is going to see how problematic you are and how manipulative you are. That's what they're going to see.
Oh yeah, they are, and they're really showcasing against Gia and Juliet, and of course, y'all, we don't condone here y'all going at people, on their social media or showing them. This is an edited show. This isn't all that Juliet has done, or Gia or Beck. And if y'all looking at social media right now, Beck was invited and attended Gia's birthday party with her new boyfriend. So again, this is all a show, okay? This is for entertainment purposes only, as you see it scroll on the bottom there, okay? This is not for you to at all, go up to these people or their social media and rant at them. This is just a moment in time. There will be another season, another group of people, and this will fade away. But Munira, you said you thought I was going to show the messages Beck wrote about David and Alyssa. Remember, Gia said, we both said something about Gia has put it out there to the radio stations and the TV stations in Australia. Many of them have said that they are vile. No, Beck has not left Daniel. She is still there. She professed her love on the couch, Lotus. And Daniel dodged it. But
because she doesn't want to lose him. She doesn't want to lose Daniel. She doesn't want him to escape.
Escape is the right choice of words. But Gia has sent it. They have said it's very vile. It's very this. Some of them have tried to read it and they've bleeped it out. I wasn't too interested if they want to do a text gate. But as you said, Munira, next week, David is going to sit down with Beck to get to the bottom of this. And we will see how David steps up for his wife and handle business. But I don't know. I don't know if I want to see that. David don't need to be getting in the mix. David, need to be talking to Beck's husband, the gentleman, and tell him to get his wife in check. I'm sorry. That's how I think. I think Danny needs to be there for that conversation. Both of the couples need to be there, but Alyssa needs to just hush and let her husband David handle it. Okay?
Yeah.
But that was wild at the end. I did not expect Juliet to get up, walk out, Gia to say all that stuff, for her two to walk out, get me an Uber. But it shows us that people can leave in the middle of a commitment ceremony. And Scott is just so dense. They started filming again when Joel sat down and Gia wasn't in the room. Where did you think she was? She had to have left. The crew wouldn't start filming and she's in the bathroom to have a walk through the set. Come on,
No.
Scott.
Come on, listen. Scott's been staying with her for a few weeks now. He probably knows she takes a long time in the bathroom. She's full of it for a start. And then the other thing is she got all that makeup to apply in order to try and look good for the segments. So it could be, he might have actually thought there was genuine reason. But, at the end of the day, if he doesn't see and accept that this is over or she's not a good partner to be with, then I don't know what else he needs to see. She's been embroiled in every single piece of drama or dysfunction for the whole time they've been married, the whole 4 weeks. And he's been oblivious before, had his head in the sand. But listen, her getting up and leaving now, at the end of the commit me ceremony, but leaving to go and buddy up to Juliet, because Juliet was called out for her very toxic and embarrassing behavior and rude behavior. Why are you going to chase her for? So Scott, yeah, you're right. He is very dense. I do agree that David needs to speak to Danny and say to Danny, listen, Danny, what is up with Beck, bro? Is she that insecure that my girl's looks intimidate her?
Right.
Like, dude, if you can't speak to her, then I think you need to both go and speak to the experts and get to the bottom of it. But stop attacking my girl. And I don't think it's good for David to sit down and talk to Beck, because whatever disparaging remarks were made, Beck is the type of person that can get super defensive if she's challenged and try and frame David as if he was coming at her in a certain way. So I don't think it's a particularly safe or smart thing to do for David to sit down with her one-to-one.
You're so right. I would not sit down one-to-one with Beck at all. It will have to be group setting, or at least the group is in the room to see my reaction to her, but definitely not one-on-one. And it maybe they're just showing us one-on-one. They just sat next to each other. Maybe Danny and Alyssa are both there, but I wouldn't put it past them to, for how it will look, have, David and Beck in the same spot alone, but I wouldn't talk to her alone. Definitely not. And y'all, by alone, I meant without other cast members. We know they're not alone. The crew is there, but the crew is not taking the conversation back to the other cast. And what you don't want is Beck, creating in her mind what the conversation was and then spreading that. But is there anything else? It has been a whirlwind. I feel beat up. It was supposed to be a retreat. We were supposed to be relaxing this week, but I feel beat up. Was there anything else from this week that stood out for you that you think we need to talk about?
I think we pretty much covered all of it. Yeah, we covered everything.
I think we did. The only other thing, y'all, for the experts, I'm just going to say it, for the expert Mel. Yes, please hit the like button. Let's get the likes up. Let me show y'all here. For the expert Mel, in the bottom left, she's in the purple outfit with very severe shoulders. I love her severe shoulders, y'all. In the purple there, that is the expert Mel. Alessandra is in green, and of course John is in black and navy. But Mel, unfortunately, we found out Mel has her cancer is spreading. What they've said in Australian news is she is stepping away from the show. They say she abruptly, stepped away quickly. She says she doesn't know how much time she has, and she's going to spend it with her family, as she should. But they call her Shillings. But she's usually here and for the UK. She's usually for Married at First Sight Australia and Married at First Sight in the UK. She'll be, severely missed. Definitely. I do like her perspective on certain things, and do wish her well, and wish her peace, if anything. Okay. Anything else? Where can the people find you, JR? What are you up to?
You can find me on IG as JRX TV. You can find me on YouTube as Life is Reality, for relationship reviews on these reality TV dating shows and things like that. On Instagram, I tend to have more health and fitness, more lighthearted content as well. And on TikTok, JRX TV on TikTok as well. So check me out, like, subscribe, follow, and we'll be back here. I know Elsid's covering so many shows. Why don't you tell us the glossary of shows that you're covering?
Not the glossary.
The encyclopedia.
The encyclopedia. Well, today at 5. Yesterday I covered Sweden, Love is Blind. It started this past Thursday. We had a good live there. We had a very heartbreaking breakup during Sweden. It is making me, I'm going to come up with a top 10 heartbreaking breakups for Love is Blind. So that video is coming out, y'all. Later on today at 5 p.m. EST, I'm covering the Love is Blind Ohio, the reunion with a panel. Easton and Trey should be there as well. Mondays is my messy member Monday, where we have fun and it's grown folk conversation, 18 and older only, please. That's for the membership. It's only $1. It's 99 cents to be a member. Okay. And Tuesday, I'm supposed to be doing Dune Part 2. Dune Part 2 with Trey. We like to break down the science fiction shows, let people understand, you know, the drama and what's happening, the behind the scenes, what's from the book from here. And after that, we're going to start weekly because I'll be away for a week. First week of April, we're going to start doing Game of Thrones from season 1. Each week will be a season just to get people to kind of like understand Game of Thrones before we have Dance of the Dragons again. It's just our nerd part. I do the relationship shows, but I'm a nerd too. I'm a science fiction nerd. And it's going to be a little bit light this week because, again, Sweden, and then I do RuPaul's Drag Race as well because I love my glamour queens. And for the members, it'll be an informal meetup the last Friday in March. Very informal, where I will be in Texas. So I'll make a post for the members where you can meet up with me. It's going to be informal. We go just chill, have a good time, chillax, do a little bit in-person unsolicited advice, and just have a good grown folk time. So members, please look out for that. But yes, Love is Blind Sweden, Love is Blind Ohio, this Married at First Sight Australia, season 13, RuPaul's Drag Race. Yeah, it is a plethora. That's only 4 volumes though. But thank you so much, y'all. Please go over to Life is Reality. You see his name there. He's asking you, have you hit the like button? And if you can, you know, go over to his section of the YouTube world and hit the like button on his video as well. Thank you, KC Star, for going over and saying hi from his side of the world. And yes, the member watch parties are fun. Yes, thank you. We watch RuPaul Drag Race together, and we watch Australia's dinner party together, and we chitty chat about it. So dinner is also served here. But thank you, JRX TV. Thank you always for coming through. We will be here next Sunday to cover the next week. All we know is that David is sitting down with Beck, and there should be fireworks. But thank y'all as well. Hit that like button, hype up the video. And as I always say, I'll see you on the next one.